Hello, I am Len Lindsay at My Rogue Angels and also at myissvanguard.com. Two games I'm going to compare. The idea of comparing these two games is because they're both science fiction oriented. They're both campaign games. They're both kind of a choose your own adventure game. And what's important when someone's telling you about a game, if you don't like a press your luck game, which I don't, and someone's telling you how this press your luck game is the best game that they've ever played, you probably won't like it because you don't like press your luck games. So if you're interested in science fiction, campaign games, choose your own adventure, these two games will be good for you to look into. But they have similarities and they have differences, and we're going to look at that. So, Rogue Angels is going to be coming out in November of 2024. It's a prototype that I have right now. And so everything I show you from Rogue Angels, remember, prototype meaning the final is going to be, the art will be better, the pieces will be better, things will be final. This is like a prototype that he made himself. Over here, this is ISS Vanguard. 3 years ago, I had the prototype of it, but now it's final. I've got the whole thing, both Wave 1 and Wave 2. So we've got these two games that we're going to be comparing. And I was thinking, I put cards together for me so I can show you right here, comparing things that you can look at these. So we're going to compare these. Sun Tzu Games is Rogue Angels. Awaken Realms and Game Found, that's ISS Vanguard. Now, I'm going to talk about them. This one I've already told you, you can pre-order it for November 2024, $124. It comes with everything. There's no such thing as add-ons or anything. Like he wanted everything to just come with the game. And the box will probably be bigger. This is just a prototype. This is ISS Vanguard. You can't order it like that anymore because it's over and done with, and it's $160 if you can find it. Otherwise, you can look on eBay and stuff, and the price is like, what do they call it? Scalpers. They'll mark up the price 50%, double or whatever for that. Interesting thing about the people designing the games. This one, there's over 200 people involved in that company. They're not all involved in this one game, but that's the company. They can do multiple games every year because they have a big staff. Sun Tzu Games has a staff of 1. This is his game. He gets people to help him with the game, but it's his thing. And I spent years and years and years developing it, and I think he did a wonderful job. So that's the comparison with those. Next, if you want information about either of these games, I have a website for each one. If I really like a game, I'll make a website for it. So I've made 3 websites so far for games that I really liked. Doomlings was mydoomlings.com. It's not science fiction, it's not a campaign game, it's a silly game, so we're not going to talk about it. The other 2 websites I did were myrogueangels.com and myissvanguard.com. And we're going to compare these two. Since Vanguard's been out so long, I already have 700 articles on that website, and I've been working on it for over 3 years, and it's my website. Rogue Angels, I've only been working on for 3 months instead of 3 years, and it's already got 200 articles in it, and it's my website again. Next thing we're going to look at that we can compare that are real similar is, how do you play the game? You play it on a map. So we're going to compare the two styles of maps. Okay? Let's look at ISS Vanguard's maps. This is an example of my ISS Vanguard's map, Planetopedia. As you're playing the game, you turn the pages. I won't show you to spoil things, but as you turn the pages, you get new maps to play. There'll be 20 maps, and these are called point of interest cards. So these little rectangles will change as you play. You'll be adding cards to it, but the spaces where they are will stay the same, and you don't get to go off anywhere you want. You have to be on one of these spaces following the paths between them. Okay, that's basically how this one works. Next, a map for Rogue Angels is different. It's a theme of squares, and there will be drawings on it. The red lines will be walls that block you. There'll be things on the map that you can't get through, like huge trees or forests. There will be buildings that have spaces where you can walk in. And the comparison of the size of these, if you look, they're basically the same size if you don't count this side part of ISS Vanguard, because that side part is in the campaign book for Rogue Angels. So they're basically both the same. Rogue Angels, you're going to get over 80 maps, and this one you're going to get, what did I say, 20? 20 maps. So that's those. The other addition for Rogue Angels is when you buy this box, inside the box is going to be another box, and inside that box is going to be a little map, and that's going to be a map of the inside of the ship. So the inside of the ship could match up with something on, there's a doorway here, and some maps they'll say, the campaign will tell you match this up with a certain square, and that's where you will go in and out from the map into your ship. So that's going to be an interesting aspect for Rogue Angels. Okay, next up, the rule books. Interesting. The rule books, 48 pages. Of course, Rogue Angels is prototype. We don't know what the final will be, but I thought it was interesting. They're both right now full color, and they both have examples. So the rule book for Rogue Angels is 48 pages, and they have lots of full color examples of how to do different things, explaining it. So rather than just tell you what the rules are, they go through and give you examples of how that actually would play out in the game. ISS Vanguard's rule book, it's also full color, and they have a whole section at the beginning of tutorial to get you started. Where does the tutorial start? Here. This starts the tutorial, and you set up for the tutorial. It says tutorial here. I don't know if you got that. And then you go through some pages, and this walks you through the game that way. Rogue Angels walks you through the game with the campaign book and the rule book. In the campaign book, it also has hints and tips about, like, remember this, remember that, because as you're starting the game, you don't actually know those things yet. Okay, so here we go. Next, I talked about tutorials. I already started. I got my cards in the right order. So the tutorials, the Rogue Angels, it's built into the rule book, and then there's extra help built into the first couple missions. So the first couple missions, he'll keep reminding you of things in case, as you're learning, you're trying to remember. Now the ISS Vanguard has a tutorial. They have actually a tutorial deck, and it's all designed to teach you the game that way. So they both are helping you get started that way. Now the game itself is a campaign game. Both of them are campaign games, which means when you're done with the game, you just move on to the next campaign, and then the next campaign, and then the next campaign. And you already noticed there's so many maps. As you're going through the campaign, the maps are going to be changing. Now, if you have a friend that comes over, or you just want to do it on your own, there's something that one of them calls a one-shot, the other one calls it, what did they call it? Standalone operation. That means that you could actually just play this one and not be part of the big campaign. The Rogue Angels is going to come with 4 of them. The ISS Vanguard came with these 2. Dice. They both have dice. The dice are going to be different, and you're going to see the difference between the dice. Rogue Angels is going to come with 8 dice, and it's basically the same dice. It's everything that you're going to need to play the game. ISS Vanguard comes with a whole slew of dice, all kinds of different things, and I'm going to show you the dice so you can see them. And here ISS Vanguard dice. This is one complete set of dice. There's danger dice that are orange. There's black dice that just to choose something. It's just like to come up with a number. Injury dice that have different types of symbols on them. And then each of the three colors here have different symbols on them for the section dice that you're going to be rolling during the game. It's interesting that when you play this game, each person has their own set of dice, and they need to not get it mixed up with the other people. Rogue Angels dice are going to end up black. I tried to make my own black dice, which is hard to do. So I went to a place that sells blank dice and put stickers on. I've made the stickers so that they can have different things on them. So the dice that the prototype came with was white, and they have the symbols on them. +1 adds 1 to whatever you're doing, which could be a variety of things. 2 little running people, that's action. You get 2 extra movements. And then another place on here will be shields. This will increase your shields at any time while you're playing the game. So you don't need a lot of dice because the same dice are used throughout the game. Okay, next, crew. Two kinds. We're going to go through 3 of these cards for crew. What's interesting with the crew, when I first got the prototype of ISS Vanguard, I thought that since they had a crew with people and there was a little paragraph, a story about the crew, that it was going to have people that I could keep track of who they were, where they came from, like their little backstory. Except in ISS Vanguard, this is basically their backstory. If you're looking for a game that has characters in it that you can get involved with a big story, people say Mass Effects game with all that kind of thing. Rogue Angels is that. ISS Vanguard is not that. When I started with ISS Vanguard, I thought it was going to be, but it wasn't. So here's the crew cards. There's going to be a whole bunch of them. You're going to get 90 crew cards. And any missions that you go on, if you go on 2 missions, you can never have the same person in the same mission back to back. The difference with the crew with Rogue Angels is that it's not just a card. You get what they call a dossier envelope, and inside the envelope there's going to be stuff for this crew person. So this crew person is going to have their own special cards with their own special abilities. I don't know if it's going to have glare. Then other things that you're going to get with them, you're going to get a sheet, like a character sheet, and this is personality. As you play through the game, you'll color in these white marks, and you'll gradually work your way out of the 4 different kinds of personality. So your character's personality will develop throughout the game with you, and that type of a personality will have an effect on things that happen in the game. The other thing that you'll get in the prototype is just this one card. Does it open? Where does it open? Here. It opens. In the final, it's going to be 12 pages. So you'll have, here you have a little story. The final is going to have 12 pages of a story about each character. And on the other side, you're going to have stickers. So as you go through the game, you'll be able to add stickers onto the cards that you have, which will give them additional benefits, powers, extra strength, things like that. And then the final thing you're going to get for people is that as you go through the game, you're going to interact with characters in the game. And you can, as you interact with them, things are going to happen. You could do something that this person really doesn't like. So you will color in a mark that's on the maroon side, and you'll gradually get worse and worse. That person will not like you more and more not like you. And if you do things that they are happy with, you color in the side on the green, and they'll get more and more happy with you. So as you play the game, you're going to have some characters that really don't like you, and some that just think you're the best in the world. And that all happens during the game. The stickers all happen during the game, and the personality all happens during the game. So if you like an evolving game like that, that would be Rogue Angels. And it comes with 16 characters. Each one has a huge envelope of stuff. This is only the prototype. This will be even more when you get the final game. Wow. Okay. Next card for the crew is what do you use in the game for the crew? You're going to get 16 miniatures and 16 standees for Rogue Angels. And ISS Vanguard, you'll get 8 miniatures. No standees. Some people were upset they didn't even give you a standee. If you don't like those little miniature models, too bad. That's the only thing that you're going to get with them. The advantage of Rogue Angels is with the 16 is because there's 16 different characters. There's 16 different models for each one. So you'll have them. Next, playing with them, you have like crew boards. And of course, there'll be 16 boards with Rogue Angels. You're not going to be playing with all of them at the same time. You'll be playing with 2, 3, or 4 at once. And throughout the game, you'll keep the same ones throughout the game. ISS Vanguard, you're going to be playing with 2, 3, or 4. But the characters, the crew themselves, could keep varying, that you could play 3 or 4 missions in a row with everyone different on the missions. So the difference with them, with the boards, are in ISS Vanguard, we have boards like this for 4 sections. There's 4 sections. Each section has different crew. Each section has different dice. So that now, when you're playing a mission, your dice will go here. Your card for whoever you chose to come on that mission will go here. And so other things will happen with the dice going here and charges. I'm not going to explain how to play the games because that's not the purpose of this video. But these are the cards for that. And I've already showed you the cards for Rogue Angels. We're deciding for the personality, but you're also going to have focus, shields, and scars. So the scars are when something goes wrong. The instructions might tell you color in a scar. If you color in all of them, that character dies in the game, and you'll start with another one. I've played through several full campaigns, and I think I've only got 1 scar. I play cautious. Some people just go all out. You're going to get scarred. It's okay, because you can go through a lot of missions before. Just when you lose a mission doesn't mean that you're going to get a scar. So different things will happen. Shields are going to protect you from enemies shooting at you. As long as there's a shield, you can block that unless they have unblockable damage, which means forget the shields, they got you. And the yellow tokens that will gradually go down is focus. That lets you re-roll the dice. So when you're rolling the dice, you can roll it again and mark it down. And when you run out of focus, you can't do that anymore. The other thing about dice that I didn't tell you is on Rogue Angels dice, there is nothing bad. There's no bad side. So it's sometimes called a no-fail dice, because no matter what I roll, I'm not failing. I might not get what I want, but it's not going to fail. On ISS Vanguard, there's these symbols. Can you get it? With looks like an exclamation point with like little lightnings on the side. That's a bad symbol. Not always, but almost always bad. And that can cause things terrible to happen. So if you're the kind of a player where you don't mind terrible things happening, that's going to be good. Personally, if you're a cautious player like me, these dice are nice because I'll never roll a bad dice. I might not get what I want, but it won't be bad. Okay, we'll get these out. Okay, that's going to go out. Okay, next are the bags. They both are going to come with bags. I can put that away. Both are going to come with bags. You're going to put stuff in the bags, and you're going to put your hand in the bag, and you're going to draw something out. Rogue Angels is going to have 28 tokens that are going to be for interacting with things. In order to get through a locked door, you might need to pull out 3 of the same color. And white would be wild. That would be like an example. The bag for ISS Vanguard, there's going to be 20 lead tokens. You're trying to accumulate a certain number of lead tokens, and some characters have benefits with lead tokens and discoveries. Once you get enough leads, you can gain a discovery. Discoveries are good in the game because they can give you instant benefits, or you take it back to the ship with you and it will help you do research. That will give you extra things for your ship and so forth. Ooh, next, I didn't even talk about the logbooks. I should have talked about the logbooks. So here is a logbook for ISS Vanguard. Remember, it's like basically a choose your own adventure. When you open a logbook, it's going to have lots of logs. You don't read it straight through. When you're done with the log, you're done with the log. Sometimes it'll tell you to continue on another log. Okay. So you jump back and forth. As you're going through the game in ISS Vanguard, you'll have a point of interest card on the map that says, look at log number 700, look at log number 128. So for the example, did these have any that talked about logs? Maybe not. I didn't. Does that have a log number there? I can't read upside down. Does that look like a log number? Could be. Okay, so that's the logbook for ISS Vanguard. Now, in Rogue Angels, it's called the campaign book, and you can see right away the difference. This logbook is this thick, this campaign book is much thicker, and there's going to be 6 of these. So the box is going to weigh something when you get it. Of course, ISS Vanguard's weighed something too. I can get a sore back carrying all these boxes around. So this campaign book is going to go through the same way, except now, instead of just little tiny logs, it's got things that it tells you how to change your maps. So these maps in Rogue Angels gradually are going to change. It's going to tell you where to place the enemies. It's going to tell you, oh, you need to add things to the map. So things that you might be adding to the map you might be adding a door. So on this map, we might have a building here that has an open space to walk in. They might say, place the door there, which means before you can get in there, you've got to put your hand in that bag and draw those tokens to get 3 of the same color before this door will get opened. Other things that it will put on the map might be a console, and they call it hacking. So this might be here, and they might tell you need to hack that console, which will unlock certain things on the map or destroy a data network or something. Each mission will be different, so you'll have consoles. Another thing that you might have, where are they? Oh, here. These are much different than ISS Vanguard. Our fuel canisters, and they're exciting. If you shoot a fuel canister, it blows up. If you're anyone standing next to the fuel canister, when it blows up, gets damaged, probably killed. So that's part of the game. That's kind of cool. And did I have one more thing? Oh no. Okay, then the enemies. Maybe I wait. The enemies are coming up. Okay, the enemies are coming up. I'll do that. So there are other things too. So these are just examples that they're being placed on the map, and there are other things that can be placed on the map. They can tell you to place a wall that just completely blocks off something. They can tell you to place a question mark of, or maybe this guy is here, and your job is to get into this room and find that person. And they might have other things with symbols on them that the mission will tell you what's the difference between the symbols. Do I have another one? Nope, there's a red one too. Is this one? Nope. So you kind of build your map as you go. So you have 80 of them, and then you are constantly, as you're playing, modifying it as well. Okay, we covered the log books. We covered the map books. Okay, now enemies and threats. So enemies and threats. are treated much differently. ISS Vanguard, you're focusing a lot on doing discoveries and exploration. And Rogue Angels, you're looking for finding things, accomplishing things, and also there's going to be many more things standing in your way, and they will not make your life happy. So those would be the enemies. So you get 112 enemy standees of all the different things that can be coming your way, and each one gets set into a base in the final. The prototype, it just goes in a little plastic base. The final is going to have bases with a dial on the bottom where you turn it as if the enemy can withstand 4 hits and you hit it twice, you change the dial down from 4 to 2. And it will constantly remind you by looking at each one how much more damage before that enemy is gone. Right at the end is what, and then there's cards that determine how the enemies behave on the board, because the enemies are going to be moving. So on Rogue Angels, the enemies are going to be moving across that entire board. Now, in ISS Vanguard, you're going to get 22 standees of enemies. There's not so many, and they're going to be standees, but you could pay extra for miniatures. ISS Vanguard has lots of things that you can pay extra for. And it's also going to have 23 double-sided threat cards that say what the enemy is going to do. So on a map, it might mean that the enemy is on this square, and it might tell you that it would move towards you. And so it would move to this next square. Or it might attack. Those things are determined on the enemy card. And the enemy card, do I have an enemy card? Enemy cards, so it's kind of spoiler. At the bottom is going to tell you each time as you go through what's happening. You could be traveling or you could be attacking. And then that each one's going to be different for their whole set. Rogue Angels, they have enemy cards as well that are totally different how they do it. An enemy card for Rogue Angels, it says to pick a style of attack. So there's all kinds of different styles of attack. And it's interesting how these styles of attack affect how the enemies work. And it's pretty, like, when it says vicious, you can be sure that that's probably not going to be a very fun way for the enemies to be moving. So when you look at these cards, it'll tell you if the enemy is going to move or if it's going to attack. So this one says first it's going to move, and it's going to move towards the player with the least shields. So whoever's the most vulnerable, it's going to move towards that person. And then it's going to attack all players within its range. And that's the lowest numbered enemy. The enemies have numbers in this game, which is going to be, I'll show you two of them for each color, like for yellow and red. Okay, so number 1 and number 2. The lowest numbered one, wherever that is on the board, would do this top. The second lowest numbered one will get to do the second one. Sometimes this text tells you to do more as the third. And that's the red. On the board, there could be red and yellow enemies, but only one of them is going to be moving and attacking when it's their turn. It goes your turn, their turn, like back and forth. Red goes, we go. Then after the next one, the red's not going to go, yellow's going to go. So when yellow goes, you flip the card over, and now it's the yellow's option. Now these you can see is a little bit different. So the yellow are going to be moving a little bit different. It's still called the same kind of attack, but the yellow enemies are slightly different in how they will behave. And on each one of these standees for the enemies, it's going to tell you things. It's going to tell you the first number is the range. How far away can you be and they still can attack you? This one says 6. So if you're 6 squares away, they can hit you. This next number is how far can they move. So for example, here, 6 away, and I got my guy. Let's put my guy here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They could be that far away, and they could hit me. If they're here, I'm good. So running away from them on a map this size is not very effective. Okay. So the other thing it's telling you is how far they can move. This can move 4 squares. So as I'm running away, they're going to be chasing me. But remember, when the yellow turns done, red goes next. They're not going to get to move the next turn, and they're not going to get to attack the next turn. It alternates red, yellow, yellow. And yeah, there also is orange enemies that go in the orange holders. They go every time. So that's how those go. Let's look at this one over here just for an example of something different. This one has a range of 1, which means they can't attack me unless they're right next to me. And they can move 3 squares, and then they can damage me with 2 damage. If I'm trying to damage them, they have 1 shield to protect them. So the first piece of damage, first thing I shoot them with is blocked. And as we go through, they can get hit 4 times. You have to get through their shields 4 times, then they're out. Remember these guys? They do damage where this one did 2 damages. My shields could block that. This one has a little symbol at the end that says unblockable. This one, if they shoot me and I'm in range of 6, which is a big range, I cannot block it. But it's only 1. This is 2, but my shields can block it. They have no shields, so when I'm attacking these people, I don't have to worry about shields blocking what I'm shooting them with, and they have 5 health to go down. Okay, so that's that. Let's see. The next thing to do with enemies is how do we talk about the damage? Okay, there's damage that's going to be done as you're playing the game. Things are going to happen, not always with enemies. In Rogue Angels, weather is actually involved. If it's a high winds, it could be blowing your person 1 or 2 squares to one side. It tells you which direction the wind's blowing. And if it blows you over a cliff, you just got damaged. Okay, so that's damage now. So here's Rogue Angels. There's 30 cards, and they're all unique. So we have 30 damage cards. They're all going to be unique, and each damage card is going to talk about what happens. So it's different ones doing different things. It'll say, when drawn, place this card on slot number 1. Okay, so in order to understand these, we're going to need to know one more thing about the card for where your crew members are. On the bottom are where you're going to place your cards. As you're playing the game, you're going to have action cards that you get to play. So the person that's playing this has those unique action cards I showed you. When you play them, let's find out that they played. So this is a jetpack. It says place it on slot 3. 1, 2, 3. When I play this card, I place it here. If I play this card, place it on slot 2. It would go here. You can do 2 actions every turn. Now the next time I go, if these cards are there, 3 is blocked, I could still play this card, but I'd have to put it on 4 because 3 is already filled. Later in the game, if I wanted to play this card, I couldn't. 2 is filled, I could play it on 3. 3 is filled. Play it on 4. 4 is filled. So this cooldown track is very interesting in the game. When my turn's over, with my 2 actions, all these cards slide over 1. So gradually the cards slide over, and when this one slides over, it goes off and it's into my hand. Again, I can play it again. In ISS Vanguard, they have section cards that tell you things that you can do, and when you play it, it's played. But I don't get to really choose. I can take 10 of these with me on the mission, but they're like this. And during the game, I will flip over to see what one becomes available for me. Rogue Angels, they're in my hand. It's like playing cards. This is my hand that I have. I can play whichever ones that I need. You'll have several of these available to you at any one time. and you can't replay them again until you get through all of them. Okay, next, to let you know about the dice, the danger dice. Rogue Angels does not have danger dice. They had this system. Oh, I didn't tell you. When this danger card said to place it in, didn't we have one that said place it in a certain slot? It said place it in slot 1. So that would mean this card would get removed. The danger card goes in. This card would go back in my hand. The problem with these cards, if you get damaged too much, like let's say these are here. This is 0, but it wouldn't have been here. Now if I pick a card that's got a big number, find one of the big number. Where's one that says place this card in 3. If it says place it in 3 and there's something there already, I could place it in 4. If there's something there, then I go unconscious. I'm not dead, I'm unconscious. I can be healed by one of my neighbors, allies, fellow crew members. Okay, I don't want to explain all these. This is not a tutorial of how to play the game. Okay, we're done with that. And the danger dice, we've already talked about. They're these orange dice that when you roll them, there's different symbols that come up, and based on the symbol, you will have a help card that, where did my big cards go? You'll have a help card for the danger dice that will, the big cards, yeah, reference card. So this will tell you if you roll this symbol, this happens. If you roll that symbol, that happens. And the game tells you to look at letter F for the danger dice, or look at letter G for the danger dice. It's two-sided. Or you could look at letter C. Each letter has its own group of things that can happen rolling a danger die. Okay. That's those danger dice. Okay. Okay, this is done. Next, I have companions and pets, which sounds strange. I played ISS Vanguard, and I've never encountered a time where it let me have a pet. I've played a couple of the campaigns of Rogue Angels, and I've encountered 2. So it's much better. So there's one available if you can encounter it. There's 16 different ones available with Rogue Angels, and when you encounter them, they kind of go along with you on your missions, and they might help you. They might do things like heal you or give you one extra benefit as you're going through the game. Whatever the card says, that's what you get. Next, I'm going to go through some unique things that I haven't talked about yet. One unique thing about ISS Vanguard is their shipbook. A shipbook is a 3-ring binder that has slots where cards go. They can be standard size cards, or they can be the smaller size cards. Where's the smaller size? Here's the smaller size cards. And as you're filling these in, you could be like in this example, if you fill in a whole row, you get a bonus. You could fill in cards when you're injured in the game. You come back to this main ship and you go to the sick bay, your card's slotted in, and gradually you're healed so that you can use the character again. Other cards will slot in because they're discoveries that will help you in the research. And there will be situations that happen that you're going to try to clear, because they will give you bad effects if you don't clear them. That's shipbook. What other special things? Personality bases, I got strategy, tactics, feel forward. Okay, Rogue Angels, as you're failing a mission, which will happen, even for the cautious player like me, I failed. It's not a catastrophe. The first one I failed, actually none of my characters had me mark scars on them. It just told me to continue on. That's called fail forward, and it doesn't get you as upset. Some people like to play that way. Some people love the tension. If you love the tension in ISS Vanguard, if you fail, your ship goes adrift, and bad things happen because adrift ships are not a good thing. So in that case, that's failing with disastrous consequences. I already talked about the dice. The dice over here are, I call them no-fill dice. There's no bad sides. Over here, the dice have a bad side. Every dice, there's a couple that don't. Every dice will have a bad side. The ISS Vanguard tends to be puzzly. After you play a while, they start having these weird puzzles. At one time, I photocopied the logbook and cut out the entries because I kept going around and around, and I was losing track of what I was trying to do and trying to piece it together on the floor, trying to figure their puzzle out. I haven't played enough. Well, of course, this game's not this prototype. I haven't played enough to know if it's going to have puzzles like that. This one tends to be more strategy and tactics because it's a grid, and you can arrange your guys in a way to not encounter the enemies. You can run into a hallway in a map to try to get away from them. Like on this map, if you run into a building here and the enemy's here, he can't shoot you through the wall. So there are strategy and tactics involved with that, whereas ISS Vanguard's big map, which went here, since there's only squares, there's not that much strategy or tactics involved because there's only so many. Like on this map, there's only 6 different places I can go. That's it. There's no other way, and I have to follow the paths. There's global condition cards that are going to affect how I'm traveling. Whenever I have a symbol with the little walking guy, I have to follow the global conditions. Rogue Angels has global conditions, but that's built into the manual itself, that big, thick campaign manual, which tells you if the wind's changing and things like that. So this one has a place to put mission cards as you play the mission. Rogue Angels has the missions built into the campaign book. Do I have anyone more about the extra cost and the cooling track? I think that's good, other than the person that's helping with, the one person that's running this is Emil, and one of the people helping them is Lisa. She's written, I think, 4 or 5 books about this. The person who wrote the story for ISS Vanguard actually wrote books too. They weren't ISS Vanguard books, but they were science fiction books. I didn't get them because they're in Polish, but I think he won an award for one of them. So we have good stories in both of them. So if you like science fiction, choose your own adventures, campaign long, both these games would be things to look into, but you've seen there are differences between them. I'll put some more details on both of the websites, which are, here's the 2 different websites that you can go to that I keep track of these things, and that will help you make decisions. If you're playing ISS Vanguard now and you're looking for what should you do next, remember my Rogue Angels, you can order it now, but you won't get it till November. So the ISS Vanguard Wave 2 just arrived. So you have months to go to play that one before you have to worry about Rogue Angels, which will come out next, and you can play that after. I'm Ben Lindsay. I'm with these websites, and I'm tired.